Said Muhsin to complete his topic on objective al-Shariah or Maqasid al-Shariah. If you remember last week, we have already distributed the PowerPoint presentation. The site has given the classification of the Maqasid al-Shariah into the ulama classified that into three, based on descending order of importance. The one that mentioned earlier is the most important, second most important, and that is that right? Daruriyat, essential, hajiyat, the need, and tahsiniyat. So those are the three classification of Maqasid that he has given last week. We hope all of you have already reviewed the topic, and the essential, basically the one that we have been discussing on the objective of Maqasid Sharia, the face, life, lineage, intellect, and property. This is the most common, the essential that many of us have been talking. And the most important is that we have to look at how you apply in your daily life on the Maqasid Sharia or in your profession. Yeah, Professor Said, huh? The second one is the need, the need of hajiyat.
Recording in progress.
This is more hajiyat in ibadah and all this kind of thing in mamalat and so on. And the last one is tahsiniyat, embellishment. These are the things that related to ethical improvement, professional conduct, and personality perfections. For example, when in your prayer, or the way that you dress, the kind of dress that you wear, for example, and all these are related to ibadah and other things. So I believe all of them have already make a revision on your notes. You have already simplified it, alhamdulillah. So this week he will continue again. I wish to welcome Dr. Saheed to continue your course. Welcome. Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, Prof. Dr. Jamil, for this, rewind. My voice is audible, clear? Is it echo?
Yes, clear, Dr. Said.
Alhamdulillah.
We have 150 audience on Zoom and on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Altogether in YouTube is about 80,000 are viewing our program. 80,000.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. All over the world. Yeah. They might not be attending now, but they'll be attending from time to time.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So Alhamdulillah, we in the 5th class mentioned as by Prof. Dr. Jamil, Jazakumullah khaira for the wonderful backing up and a reminder of the previous class. So I know that some of our audience are from early morning, I think they across the world. So still there is not subuh, but they are putting a great effort because of the ilm. So that is a very important thing. We appreciate and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it something very beneficial for them, for the betterment of this world and the hereafter, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik wa zid ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammad. Respected professors, doctors, brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah, now we have covered a very good part of our course related to Maqasid al-Sharia. That means we are in the 5th class. We had talked about the definition, concept, historical background, major categories. Then we were giving a special attention to the preservation of essentials, Hiflul Deen, Hiflul Nafs, Hiflul Aql, we have covered. Now we have come into the Hiflul and Nafs and nasl, how to protect our family. Islam has given extraordinary attention to the preservation of the lineage, the family. Okay. One of the essential things for the survival of the mankind is the progeny, the family, which is regarded as the primary unit of the society. An individual, a family, then a society, a community, a nation, then the humankind. So, if there is no familial system, the survival of the humankind is at the peril. So, family is very important. The members of the family taking care. We have a special bond to our brother, our sisters, our parents, our children. So this bond is used for the survival of the humankind. And marriage is considered as an entry to the marital life. So how Islam protects the family? We are giving some examples on that. For example, the obstruction to getting married. If there is a system, there is a law, there is a custom which discourages or become an obstacle in front of the people to getting married, that is against hifl al-nasl, sterilization that impedes the capacity of the reproduction. All these things are considered as a threats to the interest of the family. Also, under this category, ulama have discussed about the responsibilities. I mean, we have hukukul walidain, hukukul awlad, hukukul azwaj, hukukul zawjat. So these hukuk and mas'uliyat, not only rights, but also the responsibilities. All these things has been very extensively discussed by the fuqaha, the ulama in their kitabs. So if somebody is failing to fulfilling or implementing these responsibilities, that will be also considered as a threat to the preservation of the family or the lineage of hifl nasl. Also, scandals and derogative comments on the personal life of an individual may cause severe harm to the familial integrity. Now it's become something very simple, trivial issue. Anybody can accuse anything on anybody else. That is also against the hiflu and nasl. Then the extramarital affairs, just like fornication, adultery, homosexuality, all these things pose severe threats to the moral, social, and religious grounds related to the concept of lineage and progeny. Why maybe nowadays people are talking about LGBT issues are being discussed, and their voices have been heard so loudly in the society, and the people have become the groups and communities talking about it. Then why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited this? Still we are here. Why? Because opposite gender, when they come to a marital contract, what are the benefits there? What are how it is crucial for the salahud dunya wa falahul akhirah. So this fornication, adultery, homosexuality, and all these things are against the idea, which is the essentials, one of the essentials of the Sharia, that is the hiflu and nasl. Also, I mean, if there is no a familial system, a strong familial integrity, then the future of the children born out of the adultery is in most cases ruined due to the social and moral grounds. Street children are being there. I mean, the infants are dumped to the various fields, various areas. They are not taken care properly. So their future, it is also a threat to the humanity, to their future, and to the future of the society and to the well-being of the people. That is why when Islam says something, Islam just not imposing something which looks like a very ideal but unrealistic. That is not the system of Islam. Islam always explains what is the destination and in detail gives us the methodologies or the way to achieve those ideal destination. That is why, for example, free mixing of the opposite sex, that is considered as a haram. Haram, which is, why it is haram? Because it is harmful, because it may lead to the adultery. Then adultery will lead to a threat which will cause severe harm to the system of the family, that is against the hifl al-nasl. Likewise, the abortion and infanticide are some other major threats to in the of the modern era, which is against the interest of a family. The Sharia vehemently denounced the false ascribing of a child as one's offspring. If it is not somebody which is not you, ascribing, it's a prohibited thing in Sharia. So for the protection of the family, the Quran say, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ خَشْيَةَ إِمْلَاقٍ نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُهُمْ وَإِيَّاكُمْ. Do not kill your children. Maybe you have 12 children, 20 children, and you think you don't have the enough to support them for their education, for their nafaqa. You may think that, but actually you are not actually supporting them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us the food. Sometimes these young people will say, I need to get first of all a job, then I have to settle first, then only I will get married. Maybe after 30s, 35. Why you are so delaying your marriage? Because I have to settle first. So there is no a settlement in this world, right? Maybe you think when you get a job, you are settling yourself, you have a settled life. But once you get the job, you have other responsibilities. Then you have the matter of promotion. By that time, you have children. Then their education, their marriage. There is no settlement in this world. The settlement or the peace and tranquility or a composed life, we are expecting that in the hereafter. So when the young students say to me that I need to settle first, then only I will marry, then I will ask them, you think who is supporting you? You are living now, it's a 30 years old, 25 years old. Who are supporting you? Allah subhanahu. Do you think you are supporting yourself? No. We have to put efforts. But the one who opens the doors of the rizq is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Get married, protect your body, your lineage, your dignity, and stay away from the other ways evils, and keep going on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open up the doors of the rizq. So we should have that kind of attitude. Think I don't have any preparation. That is also not the implication of what I have said. We have to do all the preparations as much as possible. Then tawakkal to Allah. By the tawakkul we keep going on. Then yughniyahum Allahu min fadli. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open up the doors of the rizq. Then one another instruction from Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. You shouldn't do the adultery. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you shouldn't go near the adultery even. It is truly a shameful deed, an evil way. So if you think that a particular relationship will end up in the adultery, don't go. You have to, that is the red light for you to signal to stop that relationship or to it becoming in a zina. That is the terminology. For example, if certain watching of certain things or mingling of with certain people, you think according to your best judgment and discretion that will end up in the zina, la taqrabu az-zina. Then Islam also encourage the people, وَلْيَسْتَعْفِفِ الَّذِينَ لَا يَجِدُونَ نِكَاحًا حَتَّى يُغْنِيهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَأَنْكِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man tazawwaja minkum bimra'atin faqad ahraza thuluthai dini." So Islam encourages marriage. It's for the protection of us, our deen, our nafs, our family, then our dignity, and for others also. Then Islam gives a very strong punishment, severe punishment against those who are transgressing these limits. الزانية والزاني فاجلدوا كل واحد منهما 100 جلدة. That means if an unmarried man or woman, they engage in the foreign relations, then they have to send them out from that particular village or that area. Very severe punishment. It may looks like it's a very severe, the rude kind of punishment. No, actually, if this punishment is being implemented, then people will not go to the zina, number one. And before that, this is the last thing you have to do. The last thing you have to do, Islam, how to maintain committing this shameful deed. A lot of steps have been mentioned. Finally, if all these things prove to be unsuccessful in one's case, then only this implementation of the punishment of the 100 lashes or the stoning to death comes to end. But sometimes, in order to tarnish the image of Islam, some people, they overlook all these steps, and they comes first to these talking about this punishment. That is not the true way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands you regarding your children. Yusikumullahu fi awladikum. Then under the hiflu and nasl, one important thing aspect comes, that is the dignity protection. Hiflu al-irl. Hiflu al-irl. Dignity is an essential right of all individuals. Human dignity, human honor, your individuality, your personality. So defaming honor is a very severe harm. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that your brother's blood, his dignity is very important. You should not cause any damage to anyone. So privacy of a person should be respected. Creating scandal, revealing immoral stories, exposing the private body, all these things are against the protection or the preservation of the dignity. So backbiting, defamation, mockery, obscene talk, scandal, all these are detrimental to the preservation of one's dignity. So we shouldn't search for people's faults. I mean, we have to correct ourselves. We can advise the people. Imam, in front of so many people, that is not a correction, that is a defamation. If you believe in his, correction, sincere correction, or his improvement, then you are supposed to take him into private. Secretly, you can tell him, this is a mistake, you shouldn't do that. Otherwise, you are exposing his mistakes to so many other people. That is why it is not an advice, it is a defamation. And also discrimination based on the color, race, gender, nationality, so on and so forth. All these things, discrimination, are major attacks to one's inherent dignity. Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ يَتْقَاكُمْ. All of us are from Adam and Eve, Adam and Hawa alayhimus salam. And maybe we are from different continents, different ethnicities, different region, talking different religion, different colors, all these things. What is the purpose? Then you know each other, ta'aruf. In front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are not given any kind of extra or any kind of consideration based upon, you are from this continent, okay, come. No, that is not going to happen. The consideration will be at-taqwa. Hudal lil Quran has sent down as a huda. So taqwa is the important. What is taqwa? Imam Ali radiallahu anhu says, taqwa means al-khawfu min al-jaleel, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be in the consciousness of the thoughts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wal-amalu bit-tanzeel, then you make your life according to the Quran. Then what is min al-qalil or bil-qalil? You have to be content. You should have a satisfaction with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given. Then that is the taqwa. So that is the one which make you into the different ladders, not the people according to the other affiliation that is against the preservation of the dignity, that has no any space in Islam. The number 5, the preservation of the wealth. Without wealth, how we survive? Health is wealth is important. The wealth is health, health is wealth. Both are hugely important. So its preservation has been given a due recognition, due space. Islamic jurisprudence, texts and legal treatises accommodates and affords a huge space for discussing about the preservation, promotion, expenditure of the wealth in a way that is pleased by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So usurpations, cheating, fraud, misuse, malpractice, mismanagement, damage to property, embezzlement, trespass, all these things are prohibited, and they are discouraged, prohibited, and sometimes punished from the perspective of Islamic jurisprudence, because it causes threat, and which is detrimental to the one of the lururiyat, necessities or the essentials of the Islamic Sharia, that is hiflu al-mal. So a preservation of the health, how can we do it? In 2 ways. Number 1, to make the money, right? Create the wealth. Number 2, prevent anything which is against to the creation, production and promotion of the wealth. So theft is amputed, his hand to be cut, right? Why? Because it's against the preservation of the wealth. Hoarding, people are in need of something, but you keep yourself, then make the price so high, so people will be forced to buy it with an unfair price. That is prohibited in Islam. Fraud, or usage of material, like giving less in weight. Wailul lil mutaffifin, tatfif, prohibited in Islam. Then also squandering and illegal business are prohibited. Wala tusrifu, wala tubadhiru. You shouldn't squander, or you shouldn't misuse, or you shouldn't, what we say, extravagation. All these things are prohibited. In al-mubadhirina kanu ikhwan al-shayateen, those who are, waste the money, they are the brethren of Satan. Then, okay, you need money, but it shouldn't be other people's property. So illegally, if you are crime and a major sin in Islam. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. So maybe you bring any fabricated proof, then making other people's property to your custody, that is prohibited, and that will be a major witness against you in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. The profit, the interest usury is prohibited in Islam. It is also against the preservation of the wealth. Okay, some people are getting extra money unduly. That's undue, the profit that is not also accommodated in Islam, that has no space, that is prohibited. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَهُمْ. Islam forbids spending money in illegal way. All wealth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we say in Quran, we see in the Quran, Allah say, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. Maybe you think it is your property. I gave you the property. مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. Spend from what we have granted you, what we have given you. And give them some of Allah's wealth. وَآتُوهُمْ مِمَّا لِلَّهِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ. It's not yours. Allah gave you, spend it as He asked us to do it. So, and also for the protection of the wealth, Islam provides legislation. For example, if someone Islam asks to the guardian to take care of their property, but for their benefit. وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّقَاحَ فَإِنْ آنَسْتُم مِّنْهُمْ رُشْدًا فَادْفَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُمْ. Observe the offense through testing. Then when they reach to the age of marriage, if you think, then hand it over to them, their property. You should not consume it wastefully in haste, lest they grow up to demand it. So you are spending their money. When they grow up, they don't have anything. No, you should take care of it. You have to spend appropriately. And when you find them able to manage their property in a proper way, give it to them. You see how extensively, how extraordinarily, how in a delicate, detailed way, Holy Quran, al-Shariah, Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then the early scholars have given the instructions related to the minutiae which may come across in our life. Why all these things are mentioned? Because it's a essential. It is one of the essentials of our Sharia. Sharia came to the preservation of the wealth. Now, these are the 5 essentials. Maybe you have a question. Okay, to these 5, can we add something to the Laruriyat? Some scholars have added to the list. For example, وَأَوْفُوا بِالْعُقُودِ, fulfillment of the contracts, or fulfillment of the relationship, or honoring the rights of one's neighbor, the hukukul jar, ikramul jar, akrim jaraka walau kana kafira. These are the things which related to the life in this world. And something mahabbatullah, mahabbatur rasul, ikhlas, our wafa, our sidq, our purity, tahara, which means taharatul batini wal lahir. All these things, some scholars have added to these 5 loruriyat. Some say the kaful, some say the human freedom, human dignity, human fraternity. These have been added to the high objectives of the Sharia. Okay, that's the way of thinking. Some people say different. Now people are talking about the people's the al-amnu wal-aman fil balad. So if you are in a country, people's safety and security is also being considered as one of the laruriyat. Yes, in this way, some scholars have added, but maybe as a counter argument, this all whatever you have mentioned, maybe in one way or another can become under the 5 essentials of the Sharia. So these are the 5 essentials of the Sharia. Now let's have a look to what are the needs and embellishments, hajiyat and tahsiniyat. These are also very important. So as in the introductory remarks, Prof. Dato has mentioned, we have the different categories we have talked about in detail in the, I think in the 3rd class. So the first category, the top priority was essentials. We have touched on it. I think I have given some hints. Hopefully you have benefited from that. Now, what are the needs and embellishment? Hajiyat and tahsiniyat. Okay, Hajiyat and tahsiniyas, it is not the top priority. That doesn't mean we can take it easy. No, that is also important. The only thing is, it is not as essential as al-Daruriyat. So, through the spectrum of the Hajiyat and tahsiniyat, we can understand the concern of the Sharia, how Sharia taking care the aspect of human capacity is a person is able to do it, or how Sharia is talking about the removal of the hardship and aesthetics. Aesthetics means the our attention, our appreciation of the beauty. It's all things are also very important. Okay, the second category or the second class of the interest, hajiyat. The main purpose of hajiyat is remove the severity and hardship, difficult from the life of the people. But maybe if the hajiyat is not attended properly, but it does not pose any threat to the very survival of the normal order, but it will be difficult for the people. Third class or third category, the tahsiniyat, which can be said as desirable in our life, which help us to attain the refinement, perfection in our customs, in our conduct, and in our character, how it will look like. I mean, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it's a major characteristic was a husnul khuluq, right? Husnul khuluq. All these things may be coming under the tahsiniyat. That doesn't mean the husnul khuluq, it's not your choice. It is sometimes it's wajib. But the refining aspects or the pursuit of excellence in this matter, we can consider under the tahsiniyat. Okay, why the human capacity or the ability of a human being to perform certain things is important? Because otherwise the deen may appear as a burden upon the people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha. Allah does not require any soul more than what it can be afford. In Allah yuridu bikum al-yusr wa la yuridu bikum al-usr. Allah does not want to cause any kind of hardship to you. Allah wants only the ease, comfort, convenient things for you. Imam Shatibi touched upon underlying keen concern to eliminate the hardship. For he says the two things are important when we talk about the hajiyat. Number one, if the hajiyat aspect is not uh, considered or regarded properly, maybe it may create or it may cause to emerge in people's understanding or in their attitude and aversion to the worship and obligation. This is too hard for us to live as the Islam prescribes. Okay, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that there is no option of a jam and qasr, you have to perform on time completely, then what is the choice for the people who are traveling? Okay, you have to stop. Okay, if it is a flight, how can you do that? So maybe people think it's not for the people who are actually living in this modern world. No. So it creates an aversion, mentality of aversion of people from doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said. Number two, if there is not this concept of hajiyat, removal of the hardship, the end result will be people will be distracted from the all obligations toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which will end up the complete negligence to the instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is no a kind of flexibility, there is no a scope of understanding people's difficulties and giving them the alternatives. Then what will happen? Maybe some of people will think, I don't want to consider it at all. For once and for all, he may end up in neglecting all these things. Okay, you are sick, still you have to fast. Now you can break the fasting. Then you can do the qala later on. That is the flexibility. When you are sick, when you travel, when you have any difficulty, then there is a very huge consideration from the Sharia side. Maybe sometimes we may feel that Allah's the Sharia's order, which is beyond our human capacity. But actually, this is not. If we are failing to understand its antecedents, it's in the background, what have mentioned previously, what have mentioned as in its outcome, what are its associated conditions and circumstances under the single frame, then you will understand there is nothing beyond the human capacity. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asking us, you should love each other. Tahabbu, tahabbu, la tadkhulul jannata hatta tu'minu wa la tu'minu hatta tahabbu. Awala adullukum ala shay'in idha fa'altumuhu tahabbabtum aw kama qal. The meaning is that you will not enter to the paradise until you believe, and your belief is not complete until you love each other. May I teach you one thing which is good for, or which can be considered as an incentive or an impetus or a drive to love each other. Afshu salama bainakum, spread the peace or spread the salam among you. So Islam, okay, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say you have to love each other, the love is an internal feeling, right? I cannot force somebody, I have to love it. It's a feeling. It's an untouched a sense of somebody's affection to someone else. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say you have to love each other, how I love each other, how I love somebody else. But if you understand with a comprehensive understanding, then you will come to know that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you have to love, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also prescribing what are the means to have a love among you. Then number 3, ihsan. Ihsan is embellishment. Some people say it is complementary things. So complimenting, tahsiniyat, or what? Tahsin means making something husn, something good and desirable. So ihsan and aesthetics have a very huge connection. Okay, see this example of hadith. لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. If anybody have a atom's weight of pride, the kibr in his man, he will not enter the paradise. Then a person say, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we love. إن الرجل يحب أن يكون ثوبه حسنا. We love to wear the beautiful clothes, nice clothes, beautiful slipper, and shoe, good shoe. So that means we are becoming something. They can be also become the category of the mutakabbirun. Then Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, "Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal." We have Prof. That Jamil, right? Inna Allah jamilun. Allah is beautiful and loves the pride, loves the beauty. Allah is beautiful. Allah is Jamil, and He left the Jamal. But what meant to by kibr is batrul haqqi wa ghamtun nas. Pride means denying the truth. You said something and you know that this is not truth. Somebody has corrected you. You don't want to agree and you don't want to correct yourself. That is the kibr. Wa ghamtun nas, looking down people, that is also comes under the kibr. Not you wear the good clothes. But we shouldn't be imprisoned with the beauty of the exterior at the expense of the beauty of the inside. That is also very important. Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawzi said that Allah is beautiful and loves beauty. So beautiful clothing, it is included by the generalization. So beauty in all things, not just the dress. Everything, whatever you do it in a beautiful way. That is ihsan, that is itqan. Inna Allah tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyib. Allah is good and He only accepts that which is good. Inna Allah yuhibbu an yara athara ni'matihi ala abdihi. Allah loves to see wa amma bi ni'mati rabbika fahaddith. But all these things you have to deal in an adverse way, in a delicate way, that shouldn't maybe you are seeing, okay, we can wear a beautiful dress, then it shouldn't a cause to have a kind of feeling of pride and arrogance in ourselves. So we can do it without looking other people, poor people who are below your grade down. What is ihsan? An ta'budallaha ka'annaka tara wa illam takun tarahu fa innahu yaraka. So when the video is on, now my video is on, I am very careful of my actions, very careful of what I am saying, because it's being recorded. So we have to think that Allah's CCTV is 24/7 on and pointed towards us. So if we live that we are under his surveillance, there will be a care, there will be a sense of carefulness, a consciousness, a diligence that will lead us to the brilliance. That brilliance is the ihsan, making something look perfect. So aesthetics is quite crucial in Islam. It is not only the outer beauty, but it's also beauty in everything, in our words, in our deeds, even in our silence. So we may not be perfect human souls, but we are required to try constantly and consistently for betterment, which is essence of the embellishments. So if we live in that way, that we can say that we are in the pursuit of a comprehensive excellence. For example, maybe you can pray, but when you pray with your heart is there, mental presence is there, is going to pray for the subuh. Can you imagine, can you just rewind our thoughts? How many seconds I was in the subuh prayer? How many seconds we did some actions, some prescribed the wordings are there, but mentally how many, not I'm asking the minutes, how many seconds we were in the prayer. If we have that kind of mental presence there, that will help us to have a concentration. That is a kind of, the prayer is the most beautiful meditation. I'm concluding, inshallah. So in this way, we can have a proper life, Salahuddin, Salahu dunya wa Falahul akhirah, or al-Falahu fi darain, Hasanatan fi dunya wa Hasanatan fi akhirah. I think now you have some understanding of what is the meant by Laruriyat and Hajiyat and Tahsiniyat, and how it become a huge and a crucial aspect of making our life in a comprehensively good. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار آمين برحمتك يا رب.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very
for
much.
your
Thank you very much,
Doctor.
Dr. Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much, Dr. Said Muhsin. And I'm not sure whether you have to answer to one or two question. Any question on the chat box? Maybe we can check. I'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes. Is there anything that aside?
Dato, in the chat box, we doesn't have any question in there.
We don't. Okay. So with that, thank you very much, Dr. Said Muhsin. Inshallah, we see you again. It was very interesting lecture. Inshallah, we hope all of you benefited from the current lecture and the past 4 weeks lecture with Dr. Said Muhsin. Inshallah, our last class next week, we hope we will wrap up the topic, inshallah. So again, we wish to thank you very much for the lecture today. Thank you, Dr. Said Muhsin.
Barakallah.
Dr. Saheed Busari,
Dr. Saheed
already in.
sudah masuk?
Yeah, he already in.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Saheed. Please unmute him. Yeah, Dr. Saheed. Yeah. So welcome to our second and the fifth class, Dr. Saheed. It's almost coming to an end of the 6-week lecture. We thought the time is very fast moving. Alhamdulillah. So this is your fifth lecture, inshallah. Next week will be our last lecture. We hope you will wrap up everything, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Dr. Saheed has been giving the lecture on the Halal and Haram in Sharia. He is an assistant professor at the Department of Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh. This is his area. Last week he was covering on speculatively halal and absolutely halal. And he was talking also about speculatively haram and absolutely haram. And haram li ghariri and haram li zatihi. So those are the important points that we can pick up. I'm sure all of you have seen the lecture note given by Dr. Saheed, and I wish you to continue on the topic this week. Without further ado, I call upon Dr. Saheed to proceed with this.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وعلى سيدنا محمد المجتبى وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. Our dear respected Prof, Dr. Jamil Usman, and the entire IIIT team, Jazakumullah khairan for doing this wonderful work. Also, all our viewers that are with us in this program, some of us are lecturers, some of us are professors, some people are sheikh, some people are teachers and learned, but taking the time to listen to some of our brothers and sisters, I think is good for Islam and good for Muslims. May Allah reward us all for doing this. Today, we want to continue from where we stopped. Of course, we discussed in the last time about some of the dimensions that we have when it comes to the issue of halal and haram. What happened to my slide?
Doctor, can you try again?
Okay. Yeah. I cannot share. Who's disabled participants screen sharing? Can you allow me sharing?
Jaria, appoint back the
Yeah. Already appoint him.
someone take you.
Okay, I can now. Okay. Now.
Yeah. We got it now.
Alhamdulillah. So today we want to look at qawaid, some of the fundamentals that we use in Sharia to talk about what is halal, what is haram. Before now, we have discussed a lot of issues regarding the meaning of halal and haram, the dimensions, the categories, and we let us realize the fact that the concept of halal and haram is only remains to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has the right, the authority to declare anything to be permissible and non-permissible, to declare something to be lawful and unlawful. Allah is the Holy One that has that right. وَهُوَ أَحَقُّ بِذَلِكَ وَلَا يَسْتَحِقُّ أَيُّ أَحَدٍ تَحْلِيلُ وَالتَّحْلِيلُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. وَأَمَّا الرَّازِقُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ, those that Allah has given knowledge, professionals, their role is just to look at issues and try to base their evidence on what Allah said in the Quran and Sunnah. So today we want to look at one of those instruments that the scholars will use to derive at declaring something to be halal or haram. And we call it qawaid. which is the plural of the plural, which the singular is qaida. Qaida could mean the pillar, qaida could mean the foundation, should mean the basis, and professionally we call it maxims. So there are maxims, there are standards, there are principles. All these are usually called to mean qawaid, and we use them to determine in a faster mode, in a quick mode. But all these qawaid are based on evidences. They are based on evidences in the Quran and Sunnah. They are not just based on conjectures and opinions and assumptions, but they are rather based on, this is why scientists, the neurologists, the other people that will tell us about the weather, when they look at the nature of the weather, they can tell you probably it's going to rain today. They base their decision on some statistics and information, khalfiyya, backgrounds of what they know before, and they can decide that this is what will happen. Also in Sharia, we use these tools to make some decision, and those tools are based on evidences so that we can use it in the law court. And in fact, it is highly recommended for the laymen. It's highly recommended for the beginners who wants to look into some issues and cannot quickly go into the Quran and Sunnah to derive the direct evidences. So they can also rely on the qawaid. Scholars also use it in a place of giving opinions and giving fatwa or giving judgments, whereby they cannot quickly go back and explain everything to the layman. They use the qawaid to just give an express opinion in order to make it quicker to understand. Of course, generally, there are three categories. When it comes to Usul al-Fiqh, they will explain this category in depth. There is one we call Qawaid Usuliyah. There is another one we call Qawaid Fiqhiyah. There's another one we call Dawabit Fiqhiyah. So the Qawaid Usuliyah, these are theories. They are main theories that are used, that applies to general chapters of fiqh. General chapters we can talk about. They accept very few areas. They apply to almost many chapters. For example, al-amru al-mutlaq yufidu al-wujub. When there is an express command, indicates an obligation. Prof. Jamil said everybody should off their camera. For example, it's an express command. You don't say, oh, Prof, am I part of them? Prof, you talk about student or male or female. He said everybody. For example, or he said everybody should unmute themselves, except when he said except the speaker. So it's an express opinion. So we use this theory to rule. An-nahyu al-mutlaq yufidu tahrim. Express prohibition, an express prohibition indicates unlawfulness. When Allah gives us an express prohibition, it shows that it is unlawful. So these are maxims that we use in Usul al-Fiqh as well. So we also have Qawaid al-Fiqh here. These ones are developed and the covers, they applies to many branches. It's not as wider as Usuliyah. We also have the Qawaid and Dawabitu Fiqhiyah. So some people can call it Dawabitu Shari'iyah as well. This is juristic standards that apply to specific branches of fiqh chapters. Just very specific areas. It's not very wide. So the first one is wider, is the widest. Then we have the wider. Then we have the one that is wide, which is the Dawabitu Fiqhiyah. It's limited to certain areas. And we have given example of Fiqhiyah here, al-yakinu la yazulu bi-shak. Certainty cannot be removed by doubt. So when you are doubt, so when you perform your ablution and you now go into salat and you have in your mind that, have I passed on gas? Is my ablution vitiated? Did you hear any sound? No. Did you smell anything? No. But have you made ablution before? Yes. That you have made ablution before is certainty. But now there is a shak, a doubt. So you cannot remove certainty with doubt. Though on the other hand, there are many things scholars will say about it. I don't want to go into that for today. So we also have al-umuru bi-maqasid, every matters with their intent. So all these are qawaid here, which we have done earlier in other subjects. We have an example here. يحرم من الرضاع ما يحرم به النسب. يحرم من الرضاع. So whatever forbidden through marriage relationship is forbidden through breastfeeding. حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم وبناتكم وأخواتكم وخالاتكم وعماتكم. All these categories of people, these are people that you are related by, so you cannot marry them. So because there is their marriage relationship. The same way, because they are related by breastfeeding, you cannot. So we also have another dawabit, which is standard, which is al-amwal, yani ad-da'iha, la yaqbiduha al-qadi, yani yaqbiduha al-qadi, yani hifzan laha ala arbabiha. So a found money will only be taken by the qadi, and the qadi will take custody of that money until the owner is found. So when you found something, you can take it to the masjid, for example, because masjid has a section of lost and found items, and they can give to the owner whenever it comes back. You take it to the court, you take it to the police station. So these are the people that represent the authority. So you take it to them until the owner will come and claim. So the owner will not come to the mosque or to the police station and say, I found my car in the police station. No, you don't say it has been stolen by the police. No, it is in the custody of the police, which is the authority. It will be kept there until the owner can show up. So these are examples of maxims, and they are based on evidences in the Quran, sometimes Quran and Sunnah, sometimes from the Sunnah alone. So we have a lot of these, we shall be looking at in depth today as much as we can. So the first maxim we want to look at, al-qa'ida al-ula, al-awamiru tatba'u al-masalihu kama anna an-nawahi tatba'u al-mafasid. So everything that is, the commanded, those that we are commanded to do, the rules that we are obliged to affirm, when you look at them, you see a lot of benefits. But those things that Allah has forbidden us to do, you will see a lot of harm. In fornication and adultery, there are many harms. Social disorder, unwanted pregnancy, unwanted baby, a running away father, dumping babies out of, so you see abortions. So because of fornication and adultery, alcohol, fighting and killing. إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجز من عمل الشيطان. When you go to gambling house, you see fighting, because that is the house of shaitan. When you see where they drink alcohol, you see fighting. So police normally visit those places. So when you see those things that Allah has commanded us to do, like Allah has commanded us to go into marriage, legally married. Allah has commanded us to go into business transaction, trading. You will see benefits. Because when I trade, I'm another person. I'm benefiting, he's also benefiting. Everybody will go back home happy. But when you see in riba, somebody will be happy and somebody will be sad. So for everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, you see that al-awamiru tatba'u al-masalih kama anna an-nawahi tatba'u al-mafasid. So Sharia initially prohibits visitations to the grave because of some practices, and later permitted because of public benefits. So Prophet ﷺ initially prohibited it. Later, there's an hadith that permitted you can visit because of the visitations. So we can derive from this that if we see people now violating the essence of visitation to the graveyard. For example, they go there to as if they are worshiping the dead person, then it is prohibited. But if it is for the purpose of zikri, for the purpose of prayer, for the purpose of reminding yourself about death, reminding yourself about your last abode, then it is permissible as it is permissible in Sunnah. We also have another one. Either حرم الشارع شيئا عوض عنه ما هو خير وأنفع. When Sharia prohibits something, you find out that Sharia will give you an alternative that is better. So that better alternative is better for you. If something is prohibited, Sharia has never prohibited you from something except you have an alternative. And that is why Sharia prohibits for men to wear silk garments and permit for women to wear them. Though men can do other fashions, men can do other things. يعني حرم لباس الحرير والذهب على ذكور أمتي وحل لإناثهم. So it is permissible for women. And there is a reason here, because when you look at the nature of women compared to the nature of silk, something very light, something very easy, something very flashy, something very easy to wear and go around. Men, we have rujula. Men has to be strong, and that is why it is prohibited for them to wear. But at the same time, Prophet Salama give rukhsa, a license, a permission, special permission to Abdurrahman bin Auf and Zubair bin Awam. لِحِقَّتْ بِهِمَا, because both of them, they have itching, so they can wear. So the purpose is not just to, because we have many other clothes to wear, actually. But the Sharia wants you to just leave these ones for women because it's good for them. It's soft. It is not just for any other reason. And that is why it is given rukhsah to Abdurrahman bin Auf, because he normally have itching in his body that he can wear. The same thing Zubair bin Awwam. So Sharia prohibits riba transactions and permits salam. So riba transactions is prohibited generally, as we know, but salam is permissible. Why? Salam itself is not permissible initially, but it was permissible based on maslaha. إذا من أسلف في شيء ففي كيلو معلوم بوزن معلوم إلى أجل معلوم. Whoever wants to do salam, he should do it with specification. The time, the quantity, the measure, everything should be complete. So Islam always gives us something, because it's just like a forward contract. لا تبيعه ما ليس عندك. Don't sell what you don't own. That is the rule in the Sunnah. Don't sell ما لا تملك, what you don't have it in your possession. Say, oh wait, it will come next week. Then you collect money as if you have, but you don't have anything to sell. But then salam is permissible just to make life easier for the two contractual parties. The buyer wants a forward contract because he wants by specification. We want you to supply us new chairs for the university, and it must be black. It must be this size. So we want specification supply. The supply itself needs specification so that it can go and bring what we want exactly. So it is two-sided, it is not one-sided, and that is permissible. So it has always given us another option. Then when you say, oh, we cannot go into riba, there are many transactions that are very good for you that Sharia has provided for us as alternative. لو عم الحرام العرض جاز استعمال ما تدعو إليه الحاجات والضرورة. Let's look at this again. So when haram dominates the land, you have to be careful with this qaida, because as I mentioned, those qaida are not express qaida. They are qaida that is based on, evidences, and it must be used with caution sometimes. لو عم الحرام الأرض جاز استعمال ما تدعو إليه الحاجات والضرورة. You just go around and you cannot find what to eat. Somebody was traveling in a desert, but he has nothing to eat. He has no food to eat. but he just saw a small flesh of pig meat, which is sufficient for him to survive his life. He can take it just for him. Because you are in a situation, you don't eat and eat and eat until it goes to your esophagus, the throat. No, because it's darura. You are trying to save your life. You only take the little that will be sufficient for you to survive. Also, when haram garments dominate a space, it is permissible to wear prohibited garment needed for covering nudity. For example, for a man, you travel somewhere and you don't even have any other clothes to wear. You need to buy a cloth actually. Perhaps maybe somebody lost his bag, he was a traveler, is traveling to somewhere, and he just need to enter a store and buy a new cloth because he need to wear something. For you to cover your nudity, you can go ahead and even buy that silk if that is the only thing you find in the market. These are iftiradiyat, hypothetical cases that should it happen, not for you to say, oh, they said we can. It is not like you can, but it is saying that in a hypothetical case where you find yourself in an emergency, unforeseen circumstances, you cannot help the situation, then you may go ahead. Also, we have another maxim which says, Ma hurrima saddan lizzariya ubiha limaslaha rajiha. So, what is not permissible because we want to block the means to evil. That was the reason why we do not permit it. ولكن أبيح لمصلحة راجحة. We now permit it because there is a benefit which outweighs the evil. For example, in schools, ordinarily, we are not permitted to allow male and female mixing together for no reason. For no reason. Why? Because there are many evils. Because we fear to fall into evil, we separate. Even at home, children, male and female, you should separate their beds, separate rooms as much as you can. So that, it's going to be a very good way of training your children. But at the same time, even in public places, schools, buses, universities, co-education has been permissible because of the benefit of public interest. For example, there are many benefits in co-education. It allows them to learn together. It allows them to understand one another. But then, sometimes you don't even have only boys and only girls school. So will you now deny your children from not going to school? You still have to allow them. So there is a maslaha that is rajiha, that is preponderance. It is heavier. A preponderance interest is here. The heavier evidence is here. The heavier benefit is here, and that is why it is permissible. Also, we have tahrimul wasila, tahrimul maqsud min babi awla. So, an entrance through a border closing in case of pandemic is an indication to curb the spread. When we block the means to something, yani tahrimul maqsud min babi awla. So when we want to block that thing itself, we are blocking the means. The intention actually is just to block that in itself. So the border is closed. Not just we want to make people to be uncomfortable, but because we don't want the spread of coronavirus to come into our country. So that thing itself we are blocking off is not what is so important to us. It is because of the spread of coronavirus that is so important to us. Ighlaqul masajid. Yani lil-maqsud min babi awla. Just because of the spread, khawfan intishar wabahul corona fil ard. So we just fear that coronavirus will start spreading fast and will kill people. This is why we close some of the mosques, actually. So the intention is not just because we want to close the mosque. So the main reasons and the most important thing is just prohibition of eating garlic before attending Juma Salat is to prevent inconveniences to the congregation. And that is the main reasons. It's not actually because we just say don't eat garlic. It's actually because we don't want you to inconvenience because of the smell. And you know, in the Juma, there are a lot of people. So just because of the smell, so we use this maxim to judge in many of these cases with their instances. So we also have al-hiyalu batila idha yani hadimat aslan shar'iyya. ماذا نسمى بحيل؟ حيل الشرعية أو حيل الفقهية. لو تريد تقول حيل الشرعية أو فقهية. You can say حيل is just like a legal device, and it shows how intellectual our scholars are. The legal techniques that we use in order we want to get out of a particular circumstance. Somebody who says that, oh, he has vowed that he will do this and this with his wife in the middle of in the days of Ramadan. Because he has vowed, he must do it, because it's a vow. So how do you do? Then in Ramadan, he decided to travel out that same day, because as a traveler, you have the rukhsah not to fast for that day, so that it can be able to fulfill it. So it's hiyal, it's just a technique. We are looking for a way out of something that is very, very close, something that is very tight. But then we have bound not sweat effort. You are selling money, then making it extra money. You are borrowing people money, then you are making money. So if it is relating to these circumstances, then it is called hiyal. Batila idha hadimat aslan shar'iyya, because it is for the essence of running riba that is being prohibited in Sharia. That is the essence of using that device, actually. What is prohibited is prohibited. So such legal device is not permissible and is not acceptable. Also, we have qaida ma la yatimmu al-wajibu illa bihi fahuwa wajib. Whatever is a prerequisite for obligation is also an obligatory act. It is a prerequisite for obligation. In itself is an obligation. La yatimmu al-wajibu illa bihi fahuwa wajib bi nafsihi. So contemplation on the meanings of the Quran is a duty, right? يعني أفلا يتدبرون القرآن لو كان من غير عند الله لوجدوا فيه اختلافا كثيرا. يعني Allah commanded us in many places to think about the meanings of the Quran. أفلا يتدبرون القرآن. Think about it. الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. When you think about the creations of Allah, you read the Quran, you see what Allah has done, the mercy of Allah, the magnificence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this can that in depth. So this is an encouragement for everybody. Actually, if you cannot understand Arabic, please, everybody should try. It is, you know how many years you spend, iniquities is performed is unlawful. You know yourself. When you go to that place, you join them in committing crime. You join them in committing sin. It is unlawful for you to go to that place. ما لا يتم ترك الحرام إلا بتركه فهو فتركه واجب. So accessing inappropriate internet site is forbidden. So you know that once you are alone and you have access to internet, you have access to YouTube, you go unnecessarily, then you find yourself in the places where you will not have access to it. You don't be in private, you don't be on your own. Even for our children, it's the same. So this is very applicable to everyone actually. بتغير أيها وتبديل اسم. يعني تبديل الاسم يعني you just change the name, you change the form, you repackage it, and you said it's a new thing. It is not, it's the same. الحقيقة ما زال موجودة وعين الشيء ما زال موجودة يعني so the real thing is still there. You just change the forms and the name. So a marriage contract without a guardian or witness is adultery. She just came and they said, we are married. And the father is just surprised. Even if this is called marriage. So, wow, how? Actually, we just did it yesterday. How? This is not. Yeah, where is the evidence? Where is the guidance? Where are the conditions? Where are the pillars? So, imitating opposite gender dress in the name of fashion is forbidden. You just change the name and say it is fashion, but then it is something else because you are dressing as if you are something else. So it is the name of another thing. So mere changing that name does not change it from becoming unlawful. So we also have al-aslu fil ashya al-hil. It is the basic principles in general matters that Sharia is silent about. Its prohibitions of permissibility is considered halal. It is not specific about whether it is this or that. It's only silent about it. Al-aslu fi hil, halal. It is permissible to use all means of communication, information such as computer, internet, and telephone, because there is no evidence that suggests it is halal or haram. Al-aslu fil ashya. من ضمن الأشياء الموجودة في عصرنا. So it is among those things that are generally available in our time. So they are halal. Modern business transactions and new sales are permissible. A lot of new sales are coming up. You can't just come up and say, this is haram, it's a new business. No, you have to tell us why it is halal, haram. If you want to declare that new business to be haram, it must be based on evidence. Even though it's a new business, we don't have the name in Sharia books, but the fact that it is under the general matter, you cannot declare it to be haram. Al-adat al-asl, fiha al-afu. You know, customs are basically considered as pardonable. Customs. That is why when you go to Malaysians' wedding, you see the way they dress, the way the couples will dress. It's a bit different and more, very different and clear to when couples are doing weddings in my country, down in Africa, down in Nigeria, down in Ghana, in Togo, down when you go to Indians, everywhere, you see different ways Muslims will even dress and still obeying the rules of Allah that you must cover your nudity to this extent. So this is afu. The established principles in Sharia is that all customs are based on pardon and permissibility. That is, there is no punishment in doing it or leaving it. And its prohibition must be based on legal valid evidence. So if it's part of our custom that when we eat like this, whoever wants to prohibit it must bring an evidence. There must be an evidence for you to prohibit. In my country, whenever we have occasions, we gather like this, we gather in round table. No, we don't gather in round table, we sit on the floor. We don't do this. Whatever, it has become their culture, and culture itself has its own rule. If you want to say that culture in those people from Africa, from Asia, from Indonesia is haram, you must bring your evidence. Al-Dalil, al-Qawiyya, al-Qati'a, and that is it. So, for example, using knife to cut meat while eating is a custom for some people and permissible. That's their custom. In some places, they use their hand. So that is a custom. So women fashions are permissible as long as it does not lead to deceptions, deceit, or harms in ibadah or ma'amalat. So there are a lot of designs on their nails, a lot of designs on their arms, in as much as it is not preventing them from performing ablution, preventing them from performing salat, it is halal, and the content and the constituents that is being used is not from haram source, then it is halal, is permissible. So, ما أصله التحريم فلا يستباح the shak. What is basically haram? We cannot say it is permissible based on speculative evidence, based on doubt. Excuse me. Let me say based on doubt. So what is originally prohibited? We cannot now say it is permissible based on doubt. It must be based on clear evidence. It must be based on specific evidence, not on doubt. What is originally prohibited cannot be permissible without evidence. It is not permissible to eat animals that have been stunned by the methods of electric shock before slaughtering them. Because if it is, except you are sure that it is stunned, that stun is not responsible for the death of the animal. But if by stunning, electric shock, and that electric shock is responsible for the death, where is the slaughtering, Sharia slaughter, whereby irhaqud dam, you want to remove the blood. You want the blood to flow away because this is the وَإِذَا دَبَحْتُمْ فَأَحْسِنُوا الذِّبْحَ. If you want to kill, you have to slaughter very well. With rahmah, you have to make the knife to be sharp and the blood must flow. What is the essence? Because all the diseases you can see in the body of human beings, animals, they flow through the blood. So you allow it to pass away. That is why we don't eat blood. Cooked blood, uncooked blood, fresh blood, it is not. That is why animals that eat flesh, they are not permissible because they take the blood to themselves. So all these things are for our purpose, not that Allah has anything to do with them. Animal shots with poison arrow is possibly killed by the arrow, so it is not permissible for eating. So that poisons will go in. So it will not allow the blood to flow. So except that if that arrow will just weaken it, then it is taken and you can now slaughter that is Sharia compliance, then it is permissible. So we also have another maxims here. Sorry, I'm running out of time. I have to find a way to. Okay, al-iznu la yatanawalu al-fasi. Because you permit somebody, if a person authorizes a third party to exercise a specialized interest over his property, then this permission does not include acts that are contrary to Sharia, but rather refers to legitimate ones. Al-izn la yatanawalu al-fasi. You gave somebody your car. It doesn't mean you can use this car to commit a crime. I gave you my computer, doesn't mean you can use my computer to access unwanted sites, unpermissible sites, haram sites. So it's al-idnu la yatanawalu al-fasi. So who is the owner of the computer? Then the police came and said, yes. No, I borrowed him my computer as actually, but not for him to commit a crime with it. So if the owner of the store permits a person to use the store, it is not permissible to sell prohibited items therein. So if you are selling alcohol in the store that I gave out to you, the sin is not on me because I have never asked you to do that. I've only asked you to do business in that store. So if the husband gives his wife permission to travel, she may travel, provided that she is accompanied by a mahram. So, it's not that, because the husband permitted it. Maybe mahram from the brother, mahram from the son, even though there are a lot of other opinions when it comes to this particular application in the contemporary society, because of the reason why we say there should be mahram is because of the security of the road. Now, the process of traveling, the airport, the flight agencies and their crew and the country itself they are going, everybody is providing security, which we expect that the mahram will have provided for you. So this is why some scholars said maybe she may travel, especially in the contemporary society, traveling for studying, traveling for this and that. So it is still subject to some debate actually. So also, al-haram la yuharrimu al-halal. What is haram cannot make the other thing that is halal to be haram. Haram cannot become halal simply by accompanying it or mixing with when there is a possibility of separation. So since we can separate it, haram will not make halal to be haram. We can separate. They are separate people. They are separate entities. It is known that there is stolen goods in one of the market stores. So it is not forbidden to transact in that market. Your own transaction is different. This is just one of the stores. This is the duties of the authority and the police to look for the stolen materials. But you can go into that place and do some other businesses. So the marriage of the fifth woman after the fourth is forbidden, but it does not forbid the four earlier wives. It doesn't forbid him. The first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one, they are still valid for him. And also somebody asked me a question about the panda in Malaysia, for example. In some places we have the panda riders. The panda riders will help people to transport their food from one place to the other. So it's transporting halal food for somebody in the morning, and in the afternoon is helping somebody to transport haram food in the same panda box. Somebody is now asking, is it halal or haram to eat? Because I knew that panda guy must have been transporting some people, but you can separate. It is not mixing that you cannot separate. A mixture that you can separate is different from a mixture that you cannot separate, or even though it's subject to some other discussion. إذا اجتمع الحرام والحلال غلب الحرام. So when there is a mixture whereby halal and haram makes, so the haram dominates halal because of the inability to distinguish between them. Now there is a mixture and we find it difficult to distinguish, so the haram will dominate. It will dominate by rule, and we'll say it's prohibited just because we cannot separate. Because we cannot separate, we cannot say, okay, halal dominates, and we now declare it to be halal. Innal halala bayyinun wa innal haramu bayyin wa baynahuma umurun mushtabihat la ya'lamuhunna kathirun minan nas. Faman ittaqa ash-shubuhat faqad istabraha li dinihi wa 'irdihi. Wa man waqa'a fi ash-shubuhat waqa'a fi al-haram. Man waqa'a fi ash-shubuhat waqa'a fi al-haram. Hunaka shubha huna. اختلاط بين الحلال والحرام ثم غلب الحرام لعدم قدرة التميز بينهما لا نستطيع التميز. We cannot separate between the two. Thereafter, we will declare it to be everything to be haram. So if a woman is confusedly considered between being a normal haram or a sister through breastfeeding, then a marriage with her is not permissible. You say, oh, in that house, I'm not sure. Maybe those sisters there in that country, I have a breastfeeding sister, a sister that is related to me by breastfeeding or related to me by family, by blood. So I could not distinguish her from the other sister. You cannot marry from that particular place until you can distinguish, so that you don't fall into marrying your sister. You went into Indonesia and you have an information that your sister, born from your father, born from your mom, is in that country, but you don't have the information. You have to be careful, because the first lady you saw on the road that you want to marry might even be that sister. So for you not to fall into that, you need to wait and be sure until. So this is just, close applications as we see. The animals, after genetic modifications, so, it also has a lot of implications in what we eat and how we eat them. I don't know if I can be given extra 5 minutes or else. I still have like.
Okay, I'll give you 3 or 4 minutes, inshallah.
Okay, Prof. Thank you.
Because this resting time,
okay.
half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you want to finish this. This is very important topic for in everyday life for everybody, inshallah.
Yeah, sure.
And they have to know it.
Yeah.
So we give 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay, Prof. Ma'adda ila al-haram fahuwa haram. Whatever leads to haram is also haram. Permissible act that is performed through prohibited means is considered unlawful despite the valid intention. My intention is good, but then it's leading to haram. It's a haram. Whatever be your intention. If a man realizes that if he did not marry, he will commit adultery, then abandoning marriage for him is forbidden. Ahwad al-shakhsiyah. So in his own situation now, he knows that if he doesn't marry, he will commit zina. The marriage is compulsory for him. so that he doesn't commit zina. So Islam forbids the Muslims to walk to a place where major sins are committed, because it will lead him to committing sins, so he should not go to that place. So also, al-haram la yata'allaqu bi-zimmatayn. Sin from crime is only limited to the doers and not extends to other people, whatever the relationship. The family of riba practitioners are sinners, are not sinners, even if they are aware of the act, they can't separate as family members. They are still family members. They know that the uncles take riba. It's okay, it's still my uncle. So it doesn't make me a sinner, even though it belongs to my family. So the receiver of the gift from haram source and the receiver is not a sinner in as much as is not aware the source of the money. Somebody give you a gift and the gift is from riba, the gift is from haram, but you're not even sure, you don't know, you don't have any pre-information about that. So you are not a sinner, because al-haram la yata'allaqu bi-dhimma. The doer itself will be responsible for the sin. So ma hurrima akhadahu, hurrima ita'uhu. What is forbidden for you to take, it is forbidden for you to give to others. So as a mukallaf, it is forbidden for you to do haram, to eat pork meat. It is also forbidden for you to give another person as gifts. You bought a gift for somebody and the gift is alcohol. It is haram. Because it's haram for you to use. It's haram for you to give other people. Ma hurrima istimalu, hurrima ittikhadhuhu. What is prohibited for you to use is prohibited for you to take. Don't take it. Why do you take alcohol? I just take it and put it in my bag and keep it in the house. Just for that. No. Don't use it, don't take it. And that is the maxims over there. We also have al-mubashara. Mubasharat al-mamnu'. لِتَلَخُّصُ مِنْهُ لَيْسَ مَمْنُوعًا. Please listen to this. Being in possession of forbidden items with the intention to get rid of that item is not prohibited. It's permissible. You know, you saw that car. The car is in his possession, but it's a stolen car. He's now riding the car to the owner. It is not haram. It's permissible for a person to carry alcohol with the intention to spill it over. You want to spill it over, actually. We saw you with bottles of alcohol, but your intention is that you are taking it over and throwing it somewhere. And we saw you and somebody took that picture. That intention is still permissible. So it's permissible to drive stolen car in return to its owner. So al-mubahu lahu la yamliku al-ibaha. So whoever it is permissible to use something, you are not permissible to further give that right to another person. I gave you my car to use. It doesn't mean you have the right to give it to the third party. Al-mubahu lahu la yamliku al-ibaha. The man allows somebody to eat of his food. The guest may not sell it. You cannot sell it. You just say, come and eat it. Come and take part of it. Come and use my car. Come on. So it doesn't mean that you can give it to the third party. It's not permissible for the borrower to lend property to another to use from his own volition. Whoever came into what is permissible first, he has the right to use it first. So whoever precedes others to something permissible, a common place, a public place, the garden, in the university, there are places people can sit. You came there first. He came to the river where people are fishing. He put his net and hook, and it was one that took that fish first. Because it's a public property. Whoever used it first should take it. He came to the public bus and he sat in the front. Because it's a public, he has the right to take possession of that property first. Al-aslu hurmatu intifa'u bima al-ghayr biduni idni. It is not permissible for you to take possession of other people's property. It's not permissible without his permission. Using somebody's property without his permission is not permissible. Al-muharramu la yahillu milkuhu. So what is haram? You don't have the right to own it, to take possession of it, because it is haram. Al-aslu fi al-ayan at-tahara. So the basis for every simple thing we see on the surface of the heart, the stone, the dirt, the minerals, they are halal, and the aslu fi ad-dima and najasa. everything from blood, but blood constituents, they are haram for you to consume. And the last one is al-Asl fil mayta and najasa. The basis we can see from every dead bodies is prohibitions, because it is filthy, it is unhealthy, it is haram, and is not permissible except in some circumstances where they are very minute and they are insignificant. So I will stop here and
So thank you very much. Thank you, Brother Said. Thank you very much. I've given you extra time because I know you want to finish what you want to see. This is a second last class, and we hope that the student will benefit very much in your class. I saw one hand raised, but unfortunately, if you have given your question on chat box, we can entertain. Unfortunately, I can entertain the direct question. We hope, Dr. Saheed, this is very important, whether the judgment between what is forbidden and permissible, is it our own judgment or we have to consult others? Just for my own information,
okay.
and perhaps for the others as well.
Okay.
I give you one example.
Yeah.
There are many of our students who are doing the community service with the Orang Asli in the jungle. So when they go there, they find difficulty in getting food. Of course, when the Orang Asli will give them the unslaughtered meat, for example, there's no fish, except we don't know. And sometimes they offer you a drink which is homemade alcohol. We do not know. We do know. They make it something that to us we consider alcohol, but to them just normal daily drink. Can you give your view on this? Because this is involving our student in the universities. Thank you very much, sir.
So thank you, Prof. Regarding the right to declare anything halal, and to what extent do we need to consult? And as Muslims, sometimes even people that call themselves scholars, professionals, sheikh, everybody still consults. And even when you look at doctors, medical doctors, I've seen, because I have one of them as a brother, so I've seen instances that you ask him questions and he will quickly go into books. Medical doctors, when you ask them questions, perhaps if you have them as friends and family members, they go and check. In fact, in front of a patient, they check as well. So they are double checking, because you need evidence-based prescriptions, advice, fatwa, recommendations, so judgments. So you need evidence-based. And in this world, whatever we judge, whether we are right or wrong, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will still declare everything. So the essence of the Quran and Sunnah is just to guide us towards our judgment, so that it's going to be in line with. That's why we have Maqasid al-Shari, the intent of Allah. So our own intent should follow the intent of Allah as well. Maqasid al-Insan. What is your intent? You want to follow your carnal desire, or you want to follow? So as Muslims, whatever category we find ourselves, we should not stop consulting. Whether you are a scholar,
thank you.
Whether you are a
important,
student, you should not stop consulting. So for instance, take fruit and vegetables. And this is what I did when I would travel somewhere. So I was taking fruits, bananas, and it's just 3 days travel. So it's doing nothing to me. But whereby this is the only thing you have to survive. You can take it to enhance your survival. What to qaddiruhu biqadariha. Take the limit to which you can survive only. But if other things, you can still abandon it as Muslims. And you keep asking.
Thank you, Dr. Hayy. Thank you. I think this is very clear that if you don't have the knowledge, you're not very sure, you have to consult. To consult somebody who's more knowledgeable than you. That's very important. As you said, even the knowledgeable people do make consultation. Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Said. Thank you for your interesting lecture. Inshallah, we'll meet you again in the last class next week. Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. So thank you to all the audience as well. I hope you all benefited from the current lecture and the past lecture by Dr. Said. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.